Okay, hello and welcome. So this is we are now moving towards the last topic. So this course, as I said in the very beginning in the introduction video, as well as during the first week when we are going over the details of the course, we started the focus of this course is on is on looking at the waste management for a potential smart city. Smart city initiative that the government of India has taken, as well as the Swachh Bharat mission initiative. So the whole object of this course was to get people updated, get people know what is waste management, how it is relevant, what are the different components of waste management. So the bulk of the material and bulk of the subject matter that we discussed in this course was on municipal solid waste management, and that too are focused on the urban. We did not cover that much on the rural area. We didn't go into great detail about, say, landfill design. We did some overview design for landfills as well as composting, waste to energy, what are the design components and all that. Then we did construction and demolition waste, which is also a very relevant topic when we talk about urban waste management, or for all these ULBs, especially if you look at the 100 smart cities that we are going to we are building and we are going to build. So municipal solid waste, which gets most of the attention, that is why we spend 8 weeks there, and there are a lot of different components. Approximately 2 weeks was spent on construction and demolition, slightly less than 2 weeks if you look at the number of videos was on C&D waste management. Now we are towards the end. The last component that I wanted to discuss in this course was on electronic waste management. Again, this will be more like an overview. Maybe in future we will try to have a detailed course, at least a small course on e-waste management, which will let you know if we are going to offer that. So let's get started on electronic waste, and this again mostly will be centered around the Indian situation. I'll give you an overview of what is happening in India. We'll talk about the e-waste management rules in India. Then I will also give you some of the general information on why we should be worried about electronic waste management, what are the health impact, what are the environmental impact, what are the different components out there, and how it is defined in other places in the world. And also we'll talk about a little bit on recovery of certain rare earth metals and all that. So just those things will be more in the overview. We'll cover a lot in terms of focused on Indian scenario as well as the e-waste management rules. Say, as you know, last year the government has revised many of the rules related to waste management. Municipal solid waste management, we covered that. C&D waste, we also covered that. Now we are going to cover on electronic waste. So that's kind of there are some other rules out there, biomedical, plastic waste. I'm not going to cover that in this course for sure, but maybe in future we'll see how that works out. So let's look at e-waste management in India. So that's the focus for this video, and in terms of this video we'll talk about, first of all we'll look at what is e-waste, what are the categories in e-waste, why we need to manage e-waste, why we need to recycle, what is how much e-waste is generated in India and how the generation rate is changing. Actually it is growing exponentially, not only in India but globally as well. Then some facts and figures in terms of different types of e-waste that is growing in the country. We also getting some e-waste coming from abroad to India, that is we'll talk about that as well. And status of e-waste management, what is the present status, we'll conclude, we'll look at some of the websites, references. I'll also give you some of the list people of the stuff that is working the companies that are working on e-waste management in the country. So what is e-waste? If you look at this slide, I have tried to define here, and this is a European Union definition from European Union. They call it WEEE. So, or in many times we call it WEEE. So e-waste for short is waste electrical or electronic equipment. So as you can see, waste electrical or electronic equipment, WEEE. So that's why WEEE, waste electrical and electronic equipment, is the term used to define any old, end of life or discarded electronics, discarded appliances which uses electricity. So anything which uses electricity, that is included in e-waste. It includes computers, it includes consumer electronics, fridges, refrigerators, which has been disposed by the original users. So that's how they have defined e-waste. If you go to US, the definition changes a little bit. This when you look at in US, this fridge part, that is it's not gets into electronic waste. They call it white goods. Why they call it white good? Because if you remember, all the refrigerators or dishwashers or your washing machines, all of them use electricity, isn't it? Even the microwave. So most of these, when they initially came out, they were white in color. Now they come in multiple colors. Now you go and walk into any refrigerator shop, you will find them in multiple colors. Some of them are steel, some of them are black, some of them in red, lot of flowery pattern and all that. But initially, if you remember, and if you just think a little bit back, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, when these refrigerators first came, most of them used to be white or maybe a little bit off white. So that's why they are being called white goods. Somebody just put the name white goods, and that's how it is being used. So if you are in US, they will call it a white good. So and that is not included in electronic waste definition. So this is those, but if you are in Europe, they are included in electronic waste definition. So you need to be careful, like, and we'll talk about what is defined in India when we go to the EWaste management rules in India too. We follow more in US rather than Europe, and so you will see that. So whenever you look at electronic waste, you first of all need to know what are the stuff we are calling it electronic waste. Number one thing we look at about electronic waste is, of course, the computers, the desktop computers, nowadays even laptops. And one of the stream which is growing very fast is the mobile phones. Mobile phones, which is a lot of mobile phones are coming into the disposal stream globally, and including in Indian scenario. So this is how it is defined. So in terms of waste, of course, waste is an outcome of a product or a substance that is no longer suited for intended use. So we talk about that. Waste is whenever you discard something. Say you have a cell phone, you have a mobile which you are not using anymore, but you are just keeping it in your drawer, you are not throwing it away. It is not a waste, it's a product, it's a material. The day you decide, say before Diwali or something, you want to clean up, and then you have a very old cell phone, you see that this is probably have no value at all now, so I'll just throw it away. So when you decide to throw it away, at that point it becomes a waste. Until then, it is actually a product, whether in use or whether may not be in use. In your houses, you may have several of these old phones which you are not using anymore, but still they are just sitting there, and because you may think that I will use it in future, or I may sell it to somebody, kabadiwalas and all that. But so unless you throw it away, it's not a waste. Once you throw it away, it becomes a waste. So there are hazardous and non-hazardous waste. We talked about that. In electronic, we do have some hazardous waste as well. So we do have hazardous waste showing up in electronics as well. And then the major concern we have is threat to human health and environment. So this is if you don't handle it properly, we have a threat to human health and environment. So that's the bottom line concern. And there are different types of waste: industrial, biomedical, electrical equipments are example categories. We are focused on electrical and electrical equipment for this class, for this video and the subsequent videos. Then and then it, of course, is required you have to follow the national law. We'll talk about the national law in terms of this electronic waste. So what is e-waste? It's the electrical items which is containing toxic waste. It may have cadmium, lead, several different toxic substances which are not biodegradable. Most of it are not biodegradable. There could be cadmium, there could be lead, there could be some traces of arsenic. We'll look at those stuff. When they are dumped off, they contaminate soil, they contaminate air, they contaminate surface and groundwater. And the waste that is generated from electronic and electrical products are called e-waste. So this is what we have, that's waste from electronic and electrical products, that's called an e-waste. So you may hear term e-waste. E-waste is a very popular topic in the country. Many times you see in the newspaper articles and other stuff. So at least you should be aware what is e-waste, what is actually we are referring to. So what is with the presence of deadly chemicals and toxic substance in these electronic gadgets, disposals of e-waste is becoming an environmental and health nightmare. So it's a big problem, and you go to any I keep on telling you that you can go on YouTube and look at, of course, this course also you are watching on YouTube, but you can go on YouTube and there are lots of videos out there on improper e-waste management, and again within in India as well. So you see that that e-waste is not being managed properly. So that how this e-waste is managed by informal sector in a very crude way, just to get little bit of money, they are actually risking their health, risking their life. So globally, only 15 to 20% of e-waste is recycled, while the rest is dumped in developing countries. And in developing countries, that also not being managed properly. It is being recycled. That's what we call it, but that's not really recycling. You are trying to get a little bit of gold, a little bit of copper out of that, but in the process, you are contaminating the air, you are contaminating the soil and sediments around that so-called recycling plants. So, there are different categories in electronic waste. Electrical and electronic equipment, they can be categorized into large household appliances. That is what you have is refrigerators, fridges, those are your large household appliances. Let us go back just a second. Okay, so large household appliances is it's there. It's refrigerators, fridges, washing machines. Those are your other appliances. Then you have the small like a vacuum cleaners, watches, grinders, and those kind of stuff. Then you have a IT and telecommunication like PCs, printers, telephones, cell phones. All those are your this was another category of electronic waste. Then you have consumer equipment like TV, radio, cam amplifier, lighting equipment, CFL, high intensity sodium lamp, medical devices, radiotherapy, equipment, cardiology, dialysis, automatic dispensers like for hot drinks, hot and cold water bottles. So, all these whichever has some circuit board, if they have a circuit board and if they use electricity, it is an e-waste. So, that is what it is all about. So, in terms of some pictures of large household appliances, you see these are the categories of large household appliances which is there. Then we have information and communication technology equipment. So, you have telephone, printers and mobile phones, copying equipment, scanners, Xerox machines, and all those becomes your information and communication. So, ICT, that is you hear most of the time ICT equipments, consumer electronics, your saver, even hair dryer, some different types of stuff that you use. Those are all toaster, coffee machines, clocks, watch, hair dryer, saver, etc. Those are personal consumer electronics. Those are again also electronic waste. So, there are, as you can see, we use lots of appliances, lots of things which does follow under in terms of electronic waste. So, there are categories of e-waste. There are different types, like these are the, and then you have large household, small appliances, we talked about that. Even electrical and electronic tools, that is also used, that is also, it will be different types of tools, that also comes under electronic waste. Then consumer equipments, TV, radio, lighting equipments, toys, leisure and sports equipments, all these are part of electronic waste. So, if you think about you after watching this video, if you look at your just around your house, if you are watching at your home or if you go back to your home whenever you go to, just look at all the stuff that you have, you will find potential electronic waste everywhere in your house, because the way we are working these days, we use many of these electronic and electrical appliances at our houses. And so, we have a potential of producing a lot of electronic waste, and that's why the electronic waste volume or the quantity is increasing quite exponentially throughout the globe. Medical devices, again those are electronic waste, so those again is used, these are also electronic waste. Medical device, whenever you walk into a medical, recently I had to take my dad for some x-ray and CT scan and all that. So, as you walk into any of these x-ray centers or where they do all these image analysis, you will, every room you find a fancy machine. So, all these machines, when they were discarded, they will be also an electronic waste. So, we have, and then you have monitoring and controlling equipment. So, all your fire detectors, your automatic like ATM machines, different types of vending machines. Even when you go in a parking lot, if you are using that, you put you push the button and it gives you the parking ticket. So, it tells you at what time you are coming into the parking lot, and then when you will go out, you can again you will have to pay. So, when you are coming in, you may not see anybody there, it is no attendant, just you need to press a button like a green button many times and a slip comes out. So, that is again also a electronics. So, that is also an electronics and electrical equipment. So, when it goes bad, that also becomes an e-waste. So, if you think about, there is so many stuff, even the petrol pump dispenser, where you see all those petrol like we see on the screens, like how much petrol we are getting and what is the price per liter. That again has anything which is circuit board has some sort of display unit, and so essentially having some circuit board which becomes it's an electrical item, and when they go bad, where it cannot be used anymore, it becomes an electronic waste. So, as you can see, there are variety of things which comes under this category. So, in terms of the Indian scenario, what is there in our e-waste? So, that is in Indian scenario, what are the stuff that is there in the e-waste? So, we do have some ferrous metal, we have non-ferrous metal, there is a plastic, glass, and then the others, a lot of organic and other stuff present there. So, in terms of ferrous, of course, iron and steel, you see ferrous around 36%. One thing, if you have noticed, over the years the ferrous content is actually going down. So, ferrous content is going down in terms of what is showing up in the electronics. For that, if you just think about this one, if you remember from when you were a small child, if you had a desktop at home, you had a CPU and you had a monitor. Monitor was the CRT monitor, the big one, and then if you had to carry this, you need at least one person to carry the monitor and the other person to carry the CPU. Now everything is so compact, everything is so small, just one person can hold it and carry it wherever they want to. Why? Because we are of course it becomes smaller, and at the same time earlier we used to use a lot of iron in those. It used to be a lot of ferrous metal used to be present, so that's an heavy. Now we are using more and more plastics. So things are going from iron to plastic, and since plastic is lighter, things are becoming lighter. Think about the laptop as well. Older laptops used to be heavy, and but now you can find lots and lots of laptop which is very light. Even the lighters which usually very lighter laptop, you will not have a CD-ROM, but these days even you can find some laptops which has a CD-ROM drive, but at the same time is very light as compared to what you used to have earlier. So we are getting rid of ferrous and we are getting more and more on plastic. So here, if you this came from one of the e-waste guide produced in the country on the sources over here, which you can cross check as well. So now we are going more and more into non-ferrous or plastics. So you will find that things will actually go down in this pie and things will start actually going up in this pie. So if there is a newer study, you will see that less ferrous metal, more plastics showing up. So and then we have some non-ferrous metals. Non-ferrous metals is the one which is actually in terms ferrous, it's iron. We know iron, we do need some iron. If we actually, many people who are anemic are given iron supplement, but at the same time too much iron is also bad. So you don't want too much of an iron. But in terms of the environmental impact that we worry about, we think about mostly is we are focusing on the non-ferrous metal. So non-ferrous metal, what are those non-ferrous? We have aluminum is there, copper, lead, cadmium, mercury. So if you think about the bad one, the nasty ones, the lead, cadmium, mercury, arsenic. So these are known, we know about them. There are a lot of studies have been done from different sources where these elements, these metals have tried to get into the environment, and they have created contamination and created problem in terms of like a soil contamination, water contamination and all that. So this is what we are. Lead gets the most of the attention, especially lead, because lead we use a lot. Lead-based solder, if you have to use the soldering iron, lead-based solder was very popular. We are getting rid of lead and we are using some other metals now, but lead still is there in electronics. Mercury is also present. So some of the newer ones are actually getting rid of mercury. So mercury is also going away now, but we do have the stuff that shows up in the waste disposal stream will still have mercury for at least a decade or so. So these are important stuff. Cadmium, iron, arsenic. So these are all there in the electronic waste. Then in the plastic, there is a brominated and non-brominated plastic. Brominated plastic is what you hear a lot about, the brominated flame retardants. Now what is this flame retardant? Flame retardant, as the name suggests, it retards the flame. Now what does that mean? Retarding the flame means if you have used the laptop, Laptop is, as the name suggests, laptop. So, you have to you put it on your lap and work there. So, that is why the name is laptop. But if you are using the laptop on your lap, which is not a very good idea. There a lot of research has been done that you should not actually keep, although it says laptop, but you should suppose you should keep it away from your lap. But say if you had experienced the laptop, working with the laptop, you know that after say maybe half an hour, 1 hour or 1.5 hours, depending on how good the laptop is, you will see that the machine is getting heated up. So, once the machine gets heated up, it can potentially catch fire, because there are so many plastics and other things are there which can potentially burn. So, to reduce the fire chances, they use what is known as the flame retardant. So, to reduce the chance of fire. So, the brominated flame retardants are very common, and they are called BFRs. So, brominated flame retardant, and then once we have brominated flame retardants, with those mostly plastic material that we have. So, that is why you see plastic in terms of brominated and non-brominated. So, there are some brominated plastic and non-brominated. Glass, there are some lead glass or the normal glass, which means there is some lead is there, especially lead glass is used, say if you have a CRT, lead glass is used as a shield. So, you have a shield in the front, which lets we can see the image on the TV or the screen, but that shield prevents all the harmful rays and coming and affecting us. So, that is why lead is used. If you go for an X-ray, say if somebody is getting an X-ray, or even you are getting an X-ray, and then they want you see that they put you a jacket on top, and that jacket thing it seems very heavy. It has lead. Lead actually prevents the harmful rays for affecting the part of the body for which the X-ray is not being taken, because if the X-ray is being taken, only the part of the body where the X-ray needs to be taken, that's the only is exposed, and other part of the body is covered with a jacket which contains a lot of lead, and you can feel the heaviness of the jacket as well. So, that is why the lead is used a lot in electronics. In all these, whenever you have this screen, lead is there in the background to prevent this harmful rays from coming out and hitting us and getting us affected. So, but these days again we are getting rid of lead and using other material there as well. So, but lead is still there in electronics. So, these are the ones why we should be worried. So, I wanted to show like what is there and why we need to worry about. We will talk a little bit more about individually how these heavy metals, why they are bad, because again anything you learn, I keep on saying that maybe in every video, but it's okay for me, that anything you learn, you should always think about why. I always ask questions. And we used to do that when we were a small kid. Like if you have a small kid in the house, you may have seen they have lots of questions. But unfortunately, our education system in the school, they have been with the stick, they have been they get so much afraid, they stop asking questions, and they have been bombarded with so much homework and this and that the curiosity dies, and they just becomes a bookish worm, and they start doing a study like that, which is and we suffer actually. The critical thinking suffers, and by the time they come to places like IIT, we think that they have come to IIT, that means they should be very bright. They are bright, but I am not saying the students are not bright, but they are bright, but they are lacking the critical thinking ability. They don't really want to think. Everybody wants a recipe, ready-made stuff, and then just go do the exam, get a good grade. But grades are okay, but knowledge is what will take you further. So, you need to think, you need to ask questions every time, and you ask questions on discussion forum. We will be happy to answer your questions. So, composition of e-waste, again same thing has been put in here for a breakup of different types of component. So, if you have large household appliance, a small household appliance, ICT and lamps. So, these 4 categories, as you can see, this is again came from a document which was submitted in Rajya Sabha earlier. So, this is an e-waste in India research unit which was in Rajya Sabha Secretariat. So, in terms of the composition of e-waste, here you see the ferrous metal. So, in terms of this composition of waste in the Indian scenario, if you from the previous slide, this next slide what we have done is previous slide was a summary of all these different appliances, different types of categories. Here the information has been broken down to large household appliances, small household appliance, ICT, as well as lamps. So, those are the 4 categories we are looking at. And for that we have, if you look at the categories, as ferrous metal in terms of large household appliances, we see more ferrous. That needs more structurally, it has to be robust, isn't it? If you think about large household appliance, refrigerators, washing machines, or those anything like a big material, refrigerators, huge big refrigerators, even freezers. So they have you go in any you go to a ice cream shop, you see those chest freezers which is kept at the bottom, and then they open it like this, and those kind of material. So those have more ferrous metal. As you go to the small household appliances, it is less. Consumer electronics kind of in that area. Non-ferrous, again plastics, we in the small household appliance we see more and more plastic. We see more plastic showing up there. And ICT and consumer electronics, we see more glass, which is kind of obvious, and same thing with the lamps. We have more glass in the lamps. Lamps mean the bulbs. And also in ICT, like if you look at your phone, you have some all these computers, laptop, always we have glass there. And then there are other components out there as well. So ferrous, non-ferrous, plastic, glass, those are the major ones. Non-ferrous is the one which we always worry about in terms of this environmental and human health impact. So, and then where it is generated the most. So one thing what we have seen so far is we looked at how much electronic waste is produced. We looked at what is electronic waste, how it is defined, and then we looked at what are the different categories, like big large appliances, small appliances, subcategories of what type of material is there in each of the category. Then we started looking at, from the Indian context, how the different categories look like, their distribution. And so we know, like what there's electronic waste, the type of electronic waste, and now looks at the quantity, how much electronic waste actually gets produced in India. And again, this came from this is an old data, and it's not a very latest data, but it's based on the percentage wise, things may not have changed that much. We do need to have newer data coming up in Indian scenario. Unfortunately, it's not, the newer data is not that much out there. So in terms of the number one state which produces the most electronic waste is Maharashtra. Maharashtra produces nearly 14% of electronic waste produced in India. So you have Maharashtra producing the most, then Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal. Uttar Pradesh, essentially, remember the Noida and Ghaziabad, which has lot of we have lot of IT companies there as well. So and Uttar Pradesh is a big state. So then we have West Bengal, Delhi, and Karnataka. Karnataka will actually may have gone up now a little bit. Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, and then the others produces the. So total e-waste generated was 1,46,240 tons, but this is, again I said, it's an old data. Now newer data will be much higher. So and this is how it gets for the different states that we have which produces electronic waste. So different states wise, Maharashtra leads the pack, and then Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and others are also not too far behind. In terms of, you go by the city in tons, city Mumbai seems to be leading the pack, then Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Pune, Surat, and Nagpur. So Mumbai, Delhi is kind of in the high, then we have others following it up. Delhi, it could be the NCR region as well, we don't know. So many times Delhi people include Ghaziabad, Faridabad, Noida, Gurgaon, all as a NCR, National Capital Region. So it could be the combination of all four as well. Nehru Place itself has a lot of electronics activity there as too. So then e-waste growth in India, if you look at in terms of how the e-waste is growing, it's growing quite dramatically, as you can see. It's from 2005, and this is projected to 2025. So we are somewhere here 2017, and this was done in based on data collected in 2014. So from 2014 India was the 5th largest producer. So this graph is a combination of some of the data collected from this document from 2005, and then some of the newest information that has been included to project it up to 2025. So we see that the highest per capita e-waste generation state is Delhi, and the lowest is Bihar, and India is the 5th biggest producers of e-waste in the world, and we maybe already going up. That was in 2014, discarding 1.7 million tons of electrical equipment in 2014. Now 3 years ago. So I'm not sure, right, what is the what is, even if we are 5th, it's a pretty lot of electronic waste that is showing up for our country. And as you can see, from 2005 to 2025, if we believe this projection, we were at around 15, then it's 185. So how much, like 10 and then another 35. So nearly 12 times, more than 12 times increase of electronic waste in over 20 years. So we need to build a lot of infrastructure in the country to managing this electronic waste, because electronic waste needs to be managed so that there is the environmental impact and the human health impact is less. So again, this much in terms of 2010, 3 billion electrical item becomes waste. Globally, about 20 to 50 million tons of e-waste are disposed each year, which is around 5% of the waste stream. According to CAG report, over 7.2 million tons of industrial hazardous waste, 4 lakh tons of electronic waste, 1.5 metric tons of plastic waste, and 1.7 metric tons of medical waste, and 48 tons of medical waste is generated in country annually, which is just a couple of years data back. There is an exponential growth of e-waste in India. So this topic is very important actually to understand in terms of your like a problem in the e-waste. E-waste is becoming a big problem in country like ours and needs a drastic kind of action and solution. So we'll talk about what are the rules and other stuff in this overview material that we'll cover over this next several videos. So with that, let's stop here for this particular video. So we covered up to facts and figures, so gave you some idea about what is going on in India, how much waste is being produced in India, and things associated with that. So in the next video, we'll start thinking about why we need to even worry about e-waste, why we should even discuss this topic, what is the health effect, what is the environmental effect. So we'll do that in the next. Again, any question, feel free to put it on the discussion board. We'll be very happy to answer that. We will do during this electronic waste coverage, our goal is to again to ask you some questions. So there will be, you will have your regular weekly assignment, but in addition there will be another quick assignment where we want your take on how e-waste is managed in your town or your city. Is there anything, how you are managing it, your e-waste that you produce, because we want to know that, and based on the responses we get, I hope we get responses from each one of you. You have more than 6,000 people registered for this course. So if you can get it, it will be really nice to get that response, and to at the end of this course, as I said, I will have an extra video where we'll talk about both municipal solid waste and electronic waste. What is the scenario in India based on data that you provide. So we'll send you a Google form on this as well, and look forward to your support to collect that data, which will be really helpful for us to know in this course as well. So thank you, and I'll see you again in the next video.